All right, but let's take a look at the history of the Centennial Mills building. It dates back to a time when Portland's wheat fleet transported Oregon grain and flour to ports worldwide. Originally called Crown Mills, construction began on the flour mill in 1910. During the summer of 1912, the upper floors of the mill were seriously damaged by a fire due to a short circuit in one of the milling machines. The building's sprinklers were no match for the blaze, and the city's fire boat couldn't shoot water high enough. Now, in the wake of that fire, more than a century ago, the building's iconic water tank on the roof came to life. The tank was originally made of wood, meant to solve the firefighting problem by having a gravity-fed water source right there. That tank and the 10-foot-tall letters spelling out Crown Flour became well-known features of Portland's waterfront. A new steel water tank replaced it in the late 1920s. Until the city's water system improved around 1960 and it was drained, but even empty, it stayed a fixture of the Northwest skyline. Crown Mills was sold in the late 40s, becoming Centennial Mills. The new owners made some major upgrades in the early 60s, like new equipment and buildings, before another bit of tragedy. In 1965, a huge section of the dock along the Willamette was smashed when a ship full of grain from across the river crashed into it. In the Oregonian, at the time, damages were estimated at $100,000. The mill was sold again in 1981 and operated until the late 90s. Then in 2000, the city of Portland bought the property. One of the warehouses was used for the mounted police unit, but the other buildings on the site sat vacant for years before being demolished about 10 years ago. But the flour mill remained in hopes it would be redeveloped into a new crown along the Willamette. Well, the city gave up trying and sold it to developers in 2023. Eventually, the property ended up with the same man who owns the ICE building on the south waterfront. And you might remember my conversation with a developer just last month who wanted to renovate part of the property and turn it into a nightclub. Well, he told me he was ready to abandon the effort due to permitting problems and red tape. But now there's a different kind of red tape around the Centennial Mills building that is likely to scare off developers. So we're left to wait and see what will become of the property and if or when it collapses.